pretty raw in 1960 comic book form, right? Well, here's what it looked like in 1990. It's the same thing, this time in the form of a campaign ad on television.
You needed that job, and you were the best qualified. But they had to give it to a minority because of a racial quota. Is that really fair? Harvey Gantt says it is. Gantt supports Ted Kennedy's racial quota law that makes the color of your skin more important than your qualifications. You'll vote on this issue next Tuesday. For racial quotas, Harvey Gantt. Against racial quotas, Jesse Helms.
The balled-up white fists, the anger at what's being given to black people because it's being taken away from white people. It's a zero sum. Black people are coming for you. They're coming for your job. They're coming to get you. You better band together to not surrender, to fight back against the black people who are coming for you. After the political success in the South of politicians like George Wallace, who, again, remember, was elected 4 times as Alabama governor. After the political success of politicians like Lester Maddox, who used as his political symbol when he ran for governor in Georgia the pickaxe handle he brandished to defend his segregated restaurant from black people. At and after the civil rights era, the political strategy of terrifying white people about the threat posed by black people coming to get them, coming to take what's rightfully theirs, that strategy got a new name, the Southern Strategy. In 1970, Republican political strategist Kevin Phillips explained to the New York Times, quote, "From now on, the Republicans are never going to get more than 10 to 20% of the Negro vote, and they don't need any more than that. But Republicans would be short-sighted if they weakened enforcement of the Voting Rights Act," meaning if they blocked black people from registering to vote. Because, he says, the more Negroes who register as Democrats in the South, the sooner the Negrophobe whites will quit the Democrats and become Republicans. That's where the votes are. That's where the votes are. That's the way to get white votes, by counting on white people being afraid of black people. Make clear where the black people are politically and count on what Kevin Phillips calls Negrophobia, locking up all the white votes on the other side. It's about making white people feel like they are victims of black people. Black people are the racists. White people need someone to stand up for them. It's good politics. It always has been in this country, and it still is.
How do you get promoted in a Barack Obama administration? By hating white people. Or even saying you do. Or that they're not good. Or that put them down, whatever. Make white people the new oppressed minority. And they're going right along with it because they're shutting up. They're moving to the back of the bus. They're saying, I can't use that drinking fountain? Okay. I can't use that restroom? Okay.
White people, the black people are coming for you. They're coming to take your rights, to take away everything you have. Black people are coming after you. So therefore, white people need to band together.
This president, I think, has exposed himself as a guy over and over and over again who has a deep-seated hatred for white people or the white culture. I'm saying he has a problem. This guy is, I believe, a racist.
Fox News Channel this year has run with a few different stories that they really pushed all on their own. They weren't mainstream news stories. They weren't even news, really. They were Fox News agenda items, and they all followed a very, very similar narrative. There was the Van Jones controversy. He's a czar, an appointed czar, accountable to no one, usurping legitimate government power, coming to take real government power away. When him being a renewable energy policy expert didn't seem scary enough about Van Jones, Fox News morphed him into an ex-con, a violent ex-con who'd been jailed for racially motivated violence against white people. Here's how Glenn Beck reported it on August 13th, 2009. He said, quote, "Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sure glad to know that Van Jones, the communist, the radical, the anarchist, the guy you know, part of the Rodney King riots, I'm sure glad that he has the ear of the president." And on August 11th, same guy, quote, "Here is Van Jones. This is a convicted felon. A guy who spent, I think, 6 months in prison after the Rodney King beating. He was a black nationalist. He came out an anarchist and a communist. He then found the green movement was the new red, and now he's our green job czar. Why is there so much money from the green movement? Fund for public interest." Van Jones didn't spend 6 months in prison for the Rodney King riots. He is not a convicted felon. He has never served time in prison. He's never been convicted of anything. But who cares? The Fox campaign against him worked. And white people, remember, they're coming for you. Violent ex-cons who riot against white people, they're coming for you. The other great Fox News crusade of the past year, more black people coming for you. Acorn, an almost all minority community organizing group, torn apart day after day after day on Fox News because Fox News said they were thugs, criminal thugs who were stealing taxpayer money and stealing elections.
Now, who brought him into office? The press brought him in. The press was a big factor, and so was they got a lot of help from Acorn, this corrupt organization that is now under indictment in many states throughout the country for voter fraud and registration fraud, and also, by the way, responsible for the stealing of the election of Norm Coleman in Minnesota.
Let me ask, we keep hearing about this group Acorn. In every single swing state now, there are allegations of voter fraud. You had even said, you used the term stealing the election. Mm-hmm. Are you concerned that that might be happening in this election?
I join many Americans in sharing that concern.
To expose Acorn, I saw them as a thug organization that was getting my tax dollars.
So, Michelle, help me out here with SCIU having a real seat at the table. This is the thugocracy kind of idea. Acorn, can you draw the connections between Black Panthers and SCIU, or are these others just kind of latching on because they see what direction the country is headed?
You know, there's both implicit and explicit coordination of this corruption, Glenn.
Be afraid. They're coming for you. The other great Fox News crusade of the past year was more black people coming for you. That was the new Black Panther Party. Basically, two whack job guys at a polling station during the election. The Bush Justice Department investigated whether those two intimidated voters that day and found that they didn't. So for normal news outlets, this understandably wasn't a story. On Fox, it's reason to play footage over and over and over and over again of a random wingnut black guy being very threatening to white people. When you run something like 4 dozen stories on just one of your Fox News shows, as they did, just on this story, 4 dozen times covering it, each time showing the exact same footage of the exact same threatening random black guy, it's a pretty effective way of getting the message across that random black guys are really threatening. They're coming for you, white people. They're coming for you. Black people are coming for you to take what's yours. And so it goes.
And this is a Fox News alert. An Obama administration official resigned just a short time ago after she was caught on tape appearing to tell an audience that she had used her position to racially discriminate against white farmers.
No, she didn't. She didn't use her position as an Obama administration official to racially discriminate against white people. She really didn't. But it fits the narrative, doesn't it? Beautifully. What do the 4 major Fox News-only stories of the Obama era have in common? The 4 major stories, pressed and pushed relentlessly on Fox over and above the facts as their own make up the news cycle you wish you had narrative that they want to pin on the Obama administration. What is the same about these 4 ginned up Fox News-initiated would-be scandals? Van Jones, Acorn, the new Black Panther Party, and Shirley Sherrod. What's the same about these 4 stories? This isn't about racism. This isn't a story about picking on black people. This is a story about political outcomes, about the tried and true political strategy of not targeting black people, but targeting white people, white voters or white would-be voters to feel afraid of black people, to feel afraid of African American people as if they are not fellow Americans, but rather a threat to what white people have. They're coming for you. It's a zero-sum game. If they get anything, that means you lose something. The message is a political one, clear as a 1960 campaign-funded segregationist comic book. Stand up, white people. Stand up against the black threat. The Shirley Sherrod is a racist against white people story is not true. Everyone knows that by now. But it also is not new. It's political strategy to stoke fear and racial resentment among white voters. Like Kevin Phillips said in 1970, that's where the votes are. This is a political strategy advanced not by a news organization, but by political activists who use a cable channel as a political outlet. And they are pros at this. There's no reason to expect them to stop doing stuff like this unless it stops working someday. Unless someday it stops working.